ordained by God that we should walk in them. So faith is a Yesterday I made a video about grace, and my primary verse was Ephesians 2:8, and I thought it would be prudent to follow up that video with a video about faith, since it is grace through faith by which we are saved. So you can view the other video if you haven't seen it yet down in the description below. But let's go ahead and see what this says. Ephesians 2:8, for by grace ye are saved through faith, and not of yourselves, it is a gift of God. It's always been taught in certain circles, I have many friends who believe this, that all you have to do is believe, and that faith is actually a little bit more than belief, which it is. That it's belief is something that you can have of yourself, but faith can only come from God. It is a stronger form of belief because it comes from God, and that's all you have to do. There's nothing else. It's just you have faith, you have grace through faith. But the definition of grace, which I mentioned in the previous video, does not line up with that definition of faith, where it's something that is just God gives you, and your belief that you get from Him is everything. I've always struggled with explaining the necessity of having some accountability, having some obligation in regards to faith, just as with grace. So let's take a look what faith is. It's the Greek word pistis. It means a conviction. It's a conviction of a truth of anything. God convicts you of something. It comes from the Greek word pytho. So let's take a look at that real quick. The Greek word pytho, which is the source for pistis, means to persuade. It is it's a form of belief, but an absolute belief. So pistis is the word translated as faith, is an absolute belief, a persuasion that came from God. So is that all we must have? Is grace, which there is obligation because it's an opportunity to get something right the second time or another time. But to get it right is all you have to do is have a persuasion, an absolute belief in something. I have known since I was a child that the Hebraic concept of belief is twofold. I've mentioned this in another video. I will also link that down in the description below. That belief and action go hand in hand. Action is the proof of a belief. So would not action also be proof of faith? Since faith is an absolute conviction, an absolute persuasion of a belief that comes from God, would that not also have action tied to it, since belief is a two-part concept within Hebrew? Absolutely. So let us take a look at the next verses. We'll go on with Ephesians 2:9. It says, not of works, lest anyone should boast. So the works don't save you. Okay? For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. So the works don't save us, but because of the faith we will produce good works? That's absolutely what Paul is saying to the Ephesians. Which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. So the good works, we should walk in them. What are good works? You look throughout the scriptures in the Old Testament, it is talking of good works every time it is mentioning righteousness. Every time it is mentioning righteousness, it's referring to doing the works of the law, the Torah. So we are not saved by doing the good works of the law, but the faith will cause us to do the good works of the law. And it is ordained by God that we should walk in them. So faith is a persuasion, an absolute conviction of belief that comes from God, that causes us to walk in His ways, in His law, in His commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. It is the product of love. We do it out of love, not because we have we're under the old covenant of blessings and cursings. That was the old covenant. This is my law. The covenant is that you keep my law, and you will be blessed. You break my law, you will be cursed. That was the old covenant. The new covenant, Jeremiah 31, Hebrews 8, Hebrews 10. I will link that video below. The new covenant is the law written on a heart of flesh. The circumcision of the heart, removing the heart of stone, replacing it with a heart of flesh, and writing the law on the heart. So you do not keep it out of obligation. You do not keep it for salvation. You keep it because you are convinced that He loves you. Because He first loved us. That is the love of Christ. Because He first loved us. Because we love Him, we do His words. We keep His commandments. We walk in His ways. As I always say, study it for yourself, because I might be wrong. But if you truly study it for yourself, you might find that I am right. You have a good day.